Hello everyone and welcome to Algebra 2. This video is just introducing you on how the course will run and some of the procedures and things you need to do and look for and how you can use Google Classroom to get the resources you need. So if you're in Google Classroom, at the top in the stream or at the top if you go to the classwork tab is this assignment that says description of the first day activities or assignments. Note, I will not always have an assignment like this in Google Classroom summarizing what to do each day. You can find that information by looking at the calendar that is linked in Google Classroom and linked on Mr. Svihoc's website. So for right now, we'll look back at what that looks like on the calendar, but these are the things for today. You're going to complete the Desmos activity called Algebra 2 MHST1, and that's linked under the Target 1 through 3 tab in Google Classroom. We'll go there in a little bit. Then you should complete the Target 1 Math Excel assignment, which is due tomorrow. You can still earn late credit, full late credit, up to the test day in this course, which in this first unit on Targets 1 through 6 will be on December 2nd. After the test day, however, if you get any work done, you're only going to get 75% credit on it. Now what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to update the gradebook in Skyward, and then it might sit there as that lower grade until I end up putting some more work in there. So try to get that done by tomorrow class time if you can, otherwise it might show negatively in Skyward, but make sure you get it done by the test, otherwise you'll be penalized. And then there will be a deadline at the end of the quarter, and if you don't get it done by then, you won't get any credit if you do it. If you're not sure how to get into Math Excel, under the Class Materials tab, there's a link called a link and some instructions for Math Excel. That's our online homework. So we have this Desmos activity we're going to do, Math Excel homework, and then the third thing is you should read and look over the resources in Google Classroom that are under the Class Materials and the Miscellaneous tabs. In particular, you should read through the syllabus. You should make a note of the office hours so you can get help if you need it from me. You should look over what to expect each day for class. There's a note about that, so how the class will run. And make sure you're capable of quickly getting your Google Meet and Desmos windows to show effectively on your screen at the same time so that you can have both of those up. So basically, if this is your screen, one side of it should be the Google Meet, and I'd recommend you put that in spotlight mode so you are basically enlarging just the screen that I'm sharing so you can follow along with my presentation. And at the same time, there's going to be another tab where you have this online activity called Desmos. And you want to have both up so you can look at this one to see what I'm doing and follow along and take the notes on this one. Because in order to be attended for class, you have to be in the Google Meet online and you have to participate, which that Desmos activity is how I'm tracking your participation. So here's the Class Materials tab. You can see a link to the office hours, a link to the calendar, listing the assignments, link to the notes from class that I'll post there, a link to that Math Excel, and a link to the learning targets that we're going to learn. And there's also a link to my website, to the syllabus, and to the online textbook. The online textbook is more there as a resource. We're not going to do a whole lot, at least to begin with, out of there. But that's there if you need it. So if you're struggling in Target 3, you can click on there and find Target 3. And there's videos to watch, and there's examples and notes in there. Under the Miscellaneous tab, you can see there's these two things, what to expect each day for class and how to optimize Meet and Desmos windows. So this one's a little video tutorial. It's also just got some instructions. But basically how you should be ready to go for class. And this kind of describes procedurally what's going to happen each day in class. So before we get into those, under the class materials, if you click on the office hours, here's my office hours for this quarter. One thing you should note is, I'll just have email open, and if you need to drop in and ask a question, you can email me and I'll set up a Google Meet. It's better though if you can email me ahead of time so I know, because it could be the case where I might, not see the email for several minutes. If you haven't set something up ahead of time and I'm not responding to my email within a few minutes during an office hour, during a scheduled school day, feel free to give me a call at one of these numbers here and just say you want to set up a Google Meet. But otherwise, if you schedule appointments, I'll for sure be there. And I'll try to check email often, but sometimes I get busy and I just might miss it. And of course, I'm also available at other times by appointment. If you click on the calendar link, this is what you'll see. So again, here's those 3 things for today. There's the Target 1 Desmos activity, the Target 1 Math Excel homework that's due Tuesday, and if you click on these within the calendar, they'll blow up and you'll see more details. And then read the syllabus and review the Google Classroom resources. Here's some snippets from the syllabus. Each learning goal is called a target. So we have split up the course into these targets and we test on each target. As far as grading, tests are a large part of your grade. 65% are these tests. And we'll have about 4 or 5 per quarter or term. Each contains about 4 to 6 targets. I think one this quarter might have 3 and another might have 6. Some tests may also contain cumulative review. Another 15% is for the final exam. And by the way, the final cannot be retaken. There are some retake options for the unit tests, which we'll talk about, but not the final. And then the other 20% is your homework, classwork, mainly that Math Excel. And then just participating with, doing the activities in class. So as far as tests, for every target, we've split them into half of the points. So each target is worth 20 points. Half of those points, 10, are going to be comprised of basic content. And we're going to assess that separately during class on tests, probably in Math Excel, where you have multiple attempts at it. So if you don't do well on a basic test, the next day you can try again. And if you still don't do well, the next day you can try again, and so on and so forth. Or you could schedule some time during an office hour to do those. Okay? For each target, the other 10 points is going to be comprised of content that meets or exceeds expectations. And those will be assessed formally as a written test. With online learning, there will probably be a test on Math Excel as well, but you will be required to submit work, either by taking a picture and emailing it, or there's a place to use the mouse pad and submit work right in Math Excel. Without showing that work, you won't get the credit for it. So then as far as retakes, there's unlimited retakes on the basic parts. Okay, you just need the time to do that. For the meets exceeds part, you can only retake 4 targets from the quarter or term. And they can each only be retaken once. To do so, there will be a retake application form, which I will have in Google Classroom. You have to complete that at least a day in advance of when you want to do the retake. It might involve me having you do some extra practice, making sure your homework's done, correct your first try, making sure your basic tests are at 100%, that sort of thing. And then once that's in, then you schedule a time, then you can retake it, and the new score replaces the old score, better or worse. So you want to make sure you are prepared for that. I don't know about this for this quarter, if the retakes will need to be completed before the next unit test. Usually we say that. With the situation with COVID, we might have to make some exceptions on that. But definitely by the end of the term, they all have to be done. And I would not recommend waiting and trying to do all 4 of the last week of the quarter. So if you're having a low one, maybe you got like a 1 or a 2 out of 10, you should probably take care of that as soon as possible. As far as makeup work, make sure you're responsible for doing what you need to do. Check the calendar on Google Classroom, see what's on there, do it. So like for today, you would do the Desmos activity, you would do the Math Excel assignment, you would look over everything. And if you had questions, email your teacher. And then, of course, with tests and stuff, make sure you're submitting your own work, you're not copying from others, make sure you are being honest, because it's only going to hurt you in the long run if you're not. and there could be disciplinary referrals if we find out about that stuff. All right, so here's how a typical class period will run. And this is under the miscellaneous tab, what to expect each day. So you should open up the Google Meet. I got this wrong on here. Class does not start at 10:05. I believe our hour starts at 11:20 a.m. And then you will follow whatever directions I'm giving. Typically, it'll involve opening another link at the same time to a Desmos activity. Again, make sure that your screen is set up so you can see the Google Meet presentation on one half and the Desmos screen on the other half at the same time. And if you need help doing that, there's a video tutorial about that. Then what's going to happen is I'm going to give a presentation to the class from Google Meet that corresponds to the activity in Desmos. You should complete the activity along with me. Don't work ahead unless instructed to. I can actually prevent that by preventing which slides you can go to. So like let's say, oh, there's 5 slides and you're working ahead and you got them all done. You just kind of check out. No, I might add another 10 slides to that as we go on. Okay? Completion of those activities will be required for the attendance credit, in addition to being present in the Google Meet. So to be counted present, you have to be at the Google Meet, and you have to participate by following along and doing the Desmos activity. And that's how I can monitor that and go back. If you're absent, I will possibly have a video posted in there, or I might just have notes from the Google Meet lesson posted in there. And you should look and review at those and complete the Desmos activity that way. Note though, attendance to the Google Meet is not optional. If you miss the Google Meet time, or scheduled class time, you will be marked absent, and you should clear that up with the attendance office if you need to get that excused. If I am absent, in theory, hopefully I'll have something prepared in Google Classroom, maybe a video for you to watch or just instructions in there, but your attendance then will be based on just completing the activity. You know, the Google Meet time might be canceled. I'll email you about that, but you'll still have to do it to get the attendance credit. And then, of course, you know, once you're done with that, any extra time during the class, you should work on homework like the Math Excel. We might also have some additional activities. A lot of times we're going to be doing those basic tests. And if, you know, you'll take them, and if you got things wrong, you should figure out what you got wrong, so then the next day when you retry it, you can get it to 100%. The goal on those is to keep trying until you get to 100%. And any remaining time, if we have any more, or in the afternoon evenings, you are expected to do homework outside of our scheduled time. You should work on completing anything we didn't finish, that you're directed to finish, and always working on that Math Excel homework. If you have trouble completing the Math Excel homework on your own, you're first encouraged to click the Question Help tab and view an example to see how a very similar problem with just basically numbers change. It'll show you how to work out the problem. You can also review the corresponding target for notes examples in our online textbook resource, or review the notes from class on my website, or the activity on Desmos. And if that still isn't helpful enough, you can certainly ask me if it's during work time, or you can email for an appointment in the office hours, or if you need a different time, email about that. And then here's the other info under the miscellaneous, how to optimize Meet and Desmos windows. Oh, actually before that though, I did throw in these just general Google Meet guidelines. So when we're in Google Meet, be considerate that this is a class, not a group chat. Don't carry on chats in the classroom with other people. Keep it appropriate. Don't interrupt. Unless you have a question, keep it appropriate to the lesson involved. Make sure you're dressed and presentable and sit up straight. Mute your mic. Then you can unmute it if you have a question or something. Be aware of your background, no messes, funny backdrops, etc. No eating, that can be distracting. Drinking is okay. And then keep the computer still and stay with the class. And then there's a video link with the tutorial. This basically summarizes the tutorial, how I want your screen set up when you come. So one half will be Google Meet with spotlight mode. so that you can see my presentation of my screen, and then the other half will be your screen on Desmos where you can fill in the answers. If you need help with that, watch that tutorial in full. Okay? So at this point, we're going to transition. I'll put a separate video for this, but you should go under the Unit 1, Targets 1 through 3 and Review tab in Google Classroom. Click this link that says Algebra 2 MHST1, and that will take you to the Desmos activity. And I'll put a separate link to another video, or we'll have the Google Meet, and you'll be watching that and completing that activity while you watch the video or the Google Meet.